let's find the value of the following derivative. So we will begin by considering u to be equals to sine inverse of 2 times alpha x multiplied to square root of 1 minus alpha squared x squared. So here alpha is a constant, and we will consider v to be equals to square root of 1 minus alpha squared times x squared. So here all we have to do is find derivative of u with respect to v. To do that, we will need to find out derivative of u with respect to x as well as derivative of v with respect to x. But before finding out the derivative, let's simplify the expression on the right side of u by making a trigonometric substitution. So here we're going to make a substitution. Alpha times x equals to sine theta, which gives us u equals to sine inverse of 2 times sine theta multiplied to square root of 1 minus sine squared theta, which will be equals to sine inverse of 2 times sine theta and square root of 1 minus sine squared theta. So that simply equals to cosine of theta. Here we have make use of the identity that cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta. So this value is equals to 1, which will give us sine inverse of now 2 times sine theta times cosine theta. This is also another identity, which is sine 2 theta. So let me note that down here as well. So sine of 2 theta is given by 2 times sine theta times cosine of theta. Right. Now we have u equals to sine inverse of sine of 2 theta, which is simply equals to 2 times theta. Now since we have taken alpha x to be equals to sine theta, so this gives us theta equals to sine inverse of alpha times x. So that means we now have u equals to 2 times sine inverse of alpha times x. Now that we have a simplified form of u, let's try to find its derivative with respect to x. So we have derivative of u with respect to x given by 2 times 2 is a constant. We have pulled it out of the derivative, so it's simply multiplied to derivative of sine inverse of alpha times x with respect to x. The derivative of the inverse sine function, that's a simple formula which is given by 1 divided, we already have a 2, 1 divided by square root of 1 minus x squared. So here x is alpha x. Now that means we'll have to use the chain rule and multiply it to derivative of alpha times x, which finally gives us 2 alpha divided by square root of 1 minus alpha squared times x squared. So this is derivative of u with respect to x. Now let's keep it aside and label this as number 1. We'll come back to it in a moment. Now we will take the derivative of v. So derivative of v with respect to x will be equals to derivative with respect to x of 1 minus alpha squared x squared whole raised to the power of half. So we convert the radical to its exponent form. So this will be used to, so we can here use the power rule to get half multiplied to 1 minus alpha squared x squared whole raised to the power of half minus 1. So this will be multiplied to derivative with respect to x of 1 minus alpha squared times x squared, which will give us 1 over 2 multiplied to 1 minus alpha squared times x squared whole raised to the power of negative half. So this will be multiplied to derivative with respect to x of 1 minus alpha squared x squared. So that will be simply negative 2x times alpha squared. So this will finally give us negative. So here the 2 and 2 gets cancelled. So we have x times alpha squared divided by, so this can be taken down to the denominator and written in the radical form as square root of 1 minus alpha squared times x squared. So this is derivative of v with respect to x. So now we have obtained derivative of v with respect to x as well as derivative of u as with respect to x. So this can be used to obtain the value of derivative of u with respect to v, which is simply derivative of u with respect to x divided by derivative of v with respect to x. So we have from number 1 derivative of v with respect to x given by 2 times alpha divided by square root of 1 minus alpha squared times x squared. So this is divided by derivative of v with respect to x, but we'll simply multiply it to the reciprocal square root of 1 minus alpha squared x squared divided by x times alpha squared. So here, the numerator and the denominator, this term gets cancelled. We have negative 2, the 1 alpha from the numerator, 1 from the denominator goes away. So we have negative 2 divided by x times alpha. So this is the value, derivative of u with respect to v. So finally, we can say that the derivative, following derivative is given by negative 2 divided by alpha times x.